Boy, oh boy. I'll tell you what today is. It's a good day to be a Beatles fan. That's right, guys. Today, October 28th, 2022, is the day of release for the Super Deluxe Edition of the Beatles album Revolver. So, Revolver. It came out over 50 years ago, so why am I so excited about an album release of material that was released, more than half a century ago? Well, the answer is quite simple. Revolver is the best Beatles album of all time. But on the flip side of being the best Beatles album to ever be released, it's also probably the worst sounding album in their discography. Yeah, actually, let me take these sunglasses off real quick. I feel stupid wearing them inside. There we go. So, how can the best Beatles album also sound the worst? Well, the 2009 remasters that are readily available on all streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, they sound awful. And I'm not a music expert, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a sound mixer, but the mixing on these editions of the albums are just awful. And for the 50th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper's back in 2017, George Martin's son went back and redid the mix on the Sgt. Pepper's album and included all these demos and all these other various things to make the Super Deluxe Edition of Sgt. Pepper's, and that sounded great. The 2017 remix of Sgt. Pepper's is the best edition of Sgt. Pepper's that's out there, in my opinion. And since then, they've done the White Album, they've done Abbey Road and Let It Be, but people have been clamoring for Rubber Soul and especially Revolver. Those two albums are the ones that everyone wants to see remixed because Revolver especially just really suffers from bad panning choices. So when it was revealed that we were going to get Revolver as the next Super Deluxe Edition, I was excited. I've been looking forward to this day for over a month at this point. And as a promo single, they released the 2022 remix of Taxman, and Taxman is like the perfect example of why this is the worst sounding Beatles album, because just listen to this panning. Let me tell you how it will be. Let me tell you how it will be. Now, if you're listening to this song out loud, it doesn't sound that bad, but as soon as you put headphones on, the first time I heard Taxman with headphones on, I thought my headphones were broken. It's just all the instrumentation in one end and then vocals in another, and it's extremely unbalanced and just not pleasant to listen to at all in the slightest. It's awful. So I'm here today to check out the 2022 remix of Revolver, considering that it is my favorite Beatles album, and I'm a Beatles fanboy, I'm not gonna lie, so I'm very much looking forward to listening to this, and I'm hoping that it sounds better. And like with all the other Super Deluxe editions, there's demos, and the dog's barking, but there's demos and stuff on here, and that's 3 hours of material total thereabouts, so I'm not going to react to all of that on camera. I'll do that on my own time, but I will be reacting to the new mixes because I am excited for those. And admittedly, I could have had this video up sooner because the Super Deluxe Edition kind of, leaked early, and I got the link to it. The download button was right there, but no, I was being a good little cookie. No piracy today, okay? We're going to listen to it legally because today's now the day, and I've been waiting all day for this, and I listened to the 2009 remaster earlier today while I was in college. I listened to it with headphones on and kind of, got a real feel for how it sounded with headphones. So I'm relatively fresh with the older edition. So hopefully I can compare it pretty well to this new mix. The tracks that I'm most looking forward to listening to, I would say Taxman, but that already released and it sounds amazing. Yellow Submarine I'm looking forward to listening to because of all the sound effects that go on in the middle of the song. Got to Get You Into My Life because I love that song and I'm interested to hear what they do with it in the remix. And of course, Tomorrow Never Knows I am very much looking forward to because we'll get there when we get there, but Tomorrow Never Knows is revolutionary. Obviously, I'm not going to be playing these songs in full. I'm going to try to cut around as best as I can, so if there's a muted section of the video, I'm sorry. That means that the copyright demons got to me during that certain portion of the song, but hopefully that doesn't happen. So starting out with Taxman, like I said, they already released this one a month or so ago. Pretty much anything would be an improvement from the original mix that we got that's available on Spotify and stuff right now. All the instrumentation in this song was panned to the left with the vocals and the main guitar solo in the right, so it just sounded awful. But even though I've already listened to this version of Taxman, we're gonna be completionists and listen to this album in full, so let's get into it. The simple act of moving the guitar to the right does this song wonders. Some cowbell going in the left. I love, like, it sounds like Batman almost, is what it sounds like. And then at the end right here where the guitar comes back in, like, come on. It sounds great. So yeah, I have nothing really more to add about that one other than, you know, it's great that George Harrison gets the opening track to this album because it is, you know, I can't imagine a better opener for this album than that. So yeah, Taxman's pretty good. Okay, up next is Eleanor Rigby, and the original mix of this sounded pretty decent, the original stereo. You know, whenever I say original mix, I'm referring to the 2009 remaster, just to let you guys know. But in the original mix, it sounded pretty well balanced, but all of the verses, like the vocals and the verses, were panned to the right, I think. So hopefully they fix that in this version of the song. Yeah, it definitely sounds a lot better now. Referring to like the vocals and the verses. Love the violin. That sounds really good. I thought it was really cool how they had the backup vocal in the choruses in the left. It also just sounded a lot more full. Like having the like doing something as simple as centering the vocals. I don't know why they didn't do that before. Like, I know that Revolver and all these other albums, most of them anyway, were mixed with mono in mind, and the mono mixes are actually available on the Super Deluxe Edition, which I'm looking forward to hearing. But yeah, whenever it came to streaming and like CDs and stuff, mono wasn't readily available. They just redid them all in stereo, which is not really how they were meant to be heard originally. So hearing it like this, it makes it, I feel like it's more in line with the original vision that the Beatles and George Martin had with it. Yeah, it sounded great. It sounded full. That's really the only word that I can use to describe it, is that it sounds full. Okay, up next we have I'm Only Sleeping, led by John Lennon, one of my favorites, so. Love that little bass break that they do. Like, come on, man, it's backwards guitar. It sounds cool. That little, yeah, the yawn that they do. And it just goes right back in. I love the backing vocals too. They sound really good on this version. And then, I love how it ends with the, like the guitar or whatever that is droning on in the background. That, yeah, it sounded really good. They didn't pull out anything interesting with, or didn't pull out anything new, I guess I should say, for that one. You know, because I know that in the mono mix on Yesterday and Today, the copy that I have, it kind of throws in the backwards guitar a little bit more in one of the verses of a song. I think you can hear it very prominently in the background at one point. But as far as comparing this to the original mix, it sounds, you know, pretty much exactly the same, just a little more balanced. Because the original mix didn't sound bad at all. You know, I'm Only Sleeping was one that I don't think really could have benefited that much from a remix. But I mean, nevertheless, it still sounds great. Okay, so anyway, next one, Love You Too from George Harrison, his second contribution to Revolver. I thought the original mix of this one sounded pretty good, and I'm also a sucker for George Harrison songs because he uses the sitar quite a bit in this song, and my favorite song from Sgt. Pepper's is Within You Without You, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this one. I just love this intro and then the groove that it gets into. Like, it's just like 30 seconds of that and then it goes, you know, yeah. It's awesome. The main, like, sitar is panned to the left, which I like. There's a little bit of it in here, too. Whatever that is in the background, the percussion, it sounds like bongos. They sound really good. They're, like, very prominent. It's, like, very in your ears. I gotta say, I love the way that the sitar is mixed in this version. Ringo's going crazy on, I'm just gonna call them bongos, I don't know what they are. The percussion, whatever that is. It sounds like bongos though. I'm very impressed with how the sitar sounded to that song. The sitar and the percussion were used very well. I wasn't really paying attention to that too much whenever I listened to the original mix a couple hours ago, but this version, the percussion is very much there. It's very, not center stage, but it's pretty damn close to that. And the sitar, I like, you know, a lot of it was in the left, but then whenever it was needed, they put some of the more, you know, whatever. Like I said, I'm not a music expert, so I don't know the words, how to, you know, the words that I'm thinking of, but yeah. Okay, up next we have Paul McCartney with Here, There, and Everywhere. This one I remembered, it sounded pretty good. The only thing that was, you know, kind of weird about it was that I noticed that all the drums and percussion were panned to the right. Don't know why, but the rest of it sounded pretty good, I thought, in the original mix. So Here, There, and Everywhere is a pretty simple song. This song and For No One are a lot like Yesterday from Help. So I'm interested to hear what they do with this. The bass sounds louder. Those background vocals sound really good too. I don't know if they're louder in this version or what. I love that little creep in on the left. Okay, yeah. Okay. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. I have some things to say about this one. Okay, first of all, the bass in this one sounded very rich. It sounded, you know, it sounded thick and rich and all other related adjectives. The bass sounded really good is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how prevalent it was in the original mix, but I'm also using different headphones, you know. Whenever I listened to the original mix, I was using just Apple earbuds. These I'm using actual headphones for. That may make a difference in how it sounded, but the bass sounded very prevalent in this one. And also, in the original mix, there was snapping going on in the background that you could hear pretty clearly, and I only managed to like make out one snap that I heard, you know, just casual listening, which I'm alright with because Here, There, and Everywhere is mixed perfectly in my opinion. This is, other than Taxman, this is probably the best sounding song on the album so far. I was like, you know, because Here, There, and Everywhere, like I said before the song even started, there's not a lot to it, but it was balanced in this one perfectly in my opinion. Okay, Yellow Submarine is next, and as far as the sound effects go, anyway, it sounded pretty good. Vocals are panned to the right for some reason, even the backing vocals, I think. The drums are panned to the left, but the sound effects in the middle of the song sounded pretty okay, I thought. So this is one that I was also looking forward to hearing, so yeah, Yellow Submarine. Also, as another promotional single, they put out the original, one of the original demo tapes of Yellow Submarine with John Lennon. It's pretty depressing. Like, goddamn, dude. 2022 Mitch the Yellow Submarine. Let's go. Ooh, okay. Hang on. All right. Wait. Okay. How? Yeah. Okay. 3 seconds into the song, there's already something very in your face about it. I don't know if this is just me, but whenever Yellow Submarine starts, and it always starts with Ringo singing, you know, that's the first thing that you hear, but in this version, you can hear the first strum of the guitar, which I think is interesting. Okay. I don't know if that's just me, or if I just noticed that today, but I've listened to this album a lot, and I've not noticed that before, so yeah, let's just restart the song because that took me by surprise. Maybe it's just louder. I don't know. The drums are very heavy in the left. The waves, the water sound effects sound really good. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. See, that's cool. They have the one vocal in here and then the other in here. The sound effects. Yeah. That's very clear. Sky of blue. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that was very similar in the original mix in the fact that most of the vocals were panned on the right and the drums were on the left, but one thing that I did notice with that is that, once again, I'm gonna say it again, it sounds more full. One thing that I was really hoping that they did in this song with the new mix, and they did it, was during the middle section with all the different sound effects going on, you could hear in this one of the you know, bump for a reach for, you know, whatever that is, and then with the response you hear it in the left, which I thought was really cool. And they were heavily panned too, so it sounded like a conversation going on in your ears. I'm very glad that they did that because that was, I think, very much missing from the original mix. And yeah, the sound effects, the water in the beginning sounded, surrounding. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not very good at explaining things, am I? Yellow Submarine is often known as like the blemish on Revolver. Like, not a lot of people love this song. And I have to admit, I was kind of in the same boat, I thought that it was, if I had to pick a weak link on the album, I would have picked Yellow Submarine, but listening to this new mix, it sounds very, it just sounds like you're just hanging out on like a pirate ship or something, and they're all, holding up glasses of beer, I guess submarine, not pirate ship, but yeah. I am very much pleased with that version of the song. Closing out side one of the record, we have She Said, She Said. This one, the panning of the guitars on the original mix were to the right. The drums were to the left with the vocals were centered, so the vocals sounded pretty good, but I heard some not so great things about the mix on She Said, She Said. Just through the leaks that happened like a week ago. I heard that it was like the weakest out of the songs that were remixed, so I'll be the judge of that. Ooh, that sounded kind of weird in the left. Ooh, okay. In the left mix, the guitar sounds a little more clear. Okay. I love the drumming on this song. Ooh, that sounded good. The stop of the guitar leading in with the drum. I think I know what people mean when they said that this one didn't sound as good. I thought it sounded pretty good in my opinion, but the guitars I noticed were quiet in this version, because I feel like in the original mix, the guitars were the reason why I loved the song so much, because it sounded loud and heavy. Like, the guitars are very much in your face in the original mix, but here, I feel like it's more of the drums that take precedence over the guitars. But even then, the guitars tracks sounded very clear. There was a guitar in the right and one in the left. And while they were both kind of like buried in the mix a little bit, they still sounded very clear. And the one thing that I noticed in the left, whatever guitar was in the left channel, I could make out the way that it was being played a lot better in this mix. It's something a little bit different in there that I think makes the song sound a lot more different, but that's not a bad thing, I think that sounds pretty good, all around. Okay, so opening up the second half of the album is Good Day Sunshine. The original mix of this one sounded pretty decent. The drums I noticed were well balanced during the chorus sections, but the piano was panned to the right, but the vocals were centered. So, it's like all these very weird decisions, as I'm listing off like the notes that I took listening to the original mix, I don't know why they did the crazy panning. It just doesn't sound good on any plane of existence. Alright. Already it sounds better. It's such like a McCartney, like, happy song. I love the way that the piano sounds. Like, not just the fixed panning, but the actual sound of it is really good. She feels good. I'm glad that that's still in the mix. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about that one. Sounds pretty good. Good Day Sunshine is really not, I wouldn't say not the best song, because Revolver is one of those albums where each song is fantastic, 10 out of 10. I mean, it didn't sound all that different from the original mix. Really, the only big thing that I noticed was the piano. It was more panned out, not all to the right channel. Again, I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Okay, And Your Bird Can Sing. This one I thought was actually mixed very well in the original, so I don't really know what to expect with this new mix. I expect it to be kind of the same because the original sounded really good. So this one is kind of in the same vein as She Said, She Said, where I like it so much because of how loud the guitars are, so maybe they turn the guitars down in this one too. Maybe I won't like it as much. I don't know. We'll see. I love the bass in this song. I never really noticed it before. I like the hand claps too. Okay, one thing of note, they did not take the guitars off the center stage, which is obviously very good in my case because I love loud guitars, so that was very nice. Yeah, And Your Bird Can Sing. Like I said, the original mix already sounded really good. I didn't really know how they could improve on it. And yeah, this one also sounded great. You know, I didn't really notice any big differences. The hand claps, I feel like, were more audible. I don't know if they were panned at all in the original version, but I think they were in both of the channels, so that definitely sounded good. I heard claps on both ends of the ears, so nice and well balanced, really. Okay, for No One. This one in the original mix, vocals were in the center, piano was in the right, everything else was panned to the left. Why? I don't know. Let's see if they fixed it. Already, they fixed the panning. It's in both channels pretty clearly. I like the one piano in this one. You know, there's different pianos in both channels, and they both complement each other. That sounds really cool. Also, that horn coming in, it doesn't overpower anything else, so that also sounds pretty good. Okay, during that last little part where it starts to fade out, you could hear the strum of the acoustic guitar pretty clearly, which I thought was cool. Everything was spread out in this version, so that obviously helped it 100%. I don't really know what else they could have done with it other than that. And yeah, that's pretty much what they did. I thought sounded pretty good. Okay, up next we got Dr. Robert. Dr. Robert, I thought in the same way as Andrew Bird Can Sing, I thought the original mix sounded very good, so I'm curious to see if there's anything that jumps out at me in this new mix. Also, people say that Dr. Robert is not a good song. I disagree. Dr. Robert is a great song, but that's just me. I don't know if it's just me, but all the bass, like, in these songs sound more prevalent. Like, this one, you know, it's very bouncy bass line that I never really noticed before. I like that. The guitar coming in on the left. Yeah, okay. I like the two different guitars. They're doing it again where they put one guitar in the right and the other guitar in the left. Like I said, I really love how with the guitars, they have the two separate ones going and they're separated out into different channels, panned very heavily. But unlike the original mix, both guitars aren't panned in the same direction, so you can actually kind of make out what each guitar is really doing, and that, I think, really helps out. You know, to get, I don't know, I just love it when they do that, because that's how music should sound, in my opinion. But again, I'm not a song engineer, so I don't know. So I want to tell you George Harrison's last song on the album. This one I thought was also mixed pretty well in the original mix. You know, we're entering my favorite leg of the album. These last 3 songs I think are all very, very good, and they're also each written primarily by 3 separate Beatles. So yeah, I love these last 3 songs. They're all very good. So let's get into it. Like, this fade in especially sounds really good. And they panned it. It started over here and now it's over here. Wow, okay, they panned the whole thing all the way around. That was cool. Oh, they're panning it again at the end. They're panning, yeah. The one really notable thing in this one, and you guys heard me mention it a few times, but the opening, the fade-in started out in here, and then by the time that, you know, the drums started kicking in, it was like right in the center, and then it went into the left, and it stayed to the left each time it got brought up in the song until the end, whenever they brought it back to the center, and then they faded it out again to the right, which I thought was a very wise choice. I thought that sounded really cool. Okay, Got to Get You Into My Life. This one I think sounds pretty decent. The horns are all on the right, and the bass and the drums are in the left, but even then, I think it still sounds good. You know, it's just one of those examples where it's mixed kind of poorly, but as a whole, it sounds loud, so that's good to me, in my opinion. Also, I think my mom just came home, so the dog will just be barking wildly in the background, and there's not much I can do about that, so I'm sorry in advance if that persists. Oh, that was cool, the drums. Yeah. Yep. The horns, very good. They sound awesome. Best part of the song's coming up. Yeah, sounded awesome. I have one complaint. This is like my first like legitimate complaint in the whole album so far. So and even then I guess it's not a huge deal, but whenever I said, you know, best part of the song's coming up, you know, the like mini guitar solo, you know, this part. I think it sounded better in the original mix. I don't know, I'll play them, you know, back to back. Because, you know, I feel like it could have been turned up a little bit louder, because that's like, in my opinion, that's like the climax of the song, you know, that part of it. So if the look on my face was a little bit underwhelmed in that moment, that was why. I feel like it needed to be a little bit louder. Okay, so Tomorrow Never Knows, the final song in the album. The original mix sounds great, in my opinion. There's a lot of stuff going on, but the only thing that I think is wrong with the original mix is that all the different sound effects and tape loops and stuff, they're all stagnant. There is no panning, you know, back and forth. Because, like, Tomorrow Never Knows is one of those songs that gets you lost in the sauce, so to speak, and it really just grabs you in and just takes you on a journey. And yeah, I don't know. Actually, my mom got me this album back in March or April of 2019. And at the time that I asked for the album, all I knew about it was that it was a Beatles album. So it was a Beatles album, and it had a cool cover, and I was like, yeah, I should get this because I'm looking to collect Beatles records, so I should probably get the one called Revolver. And so the first time I listened to it was on vinyl. And, you know, I thought the album was pretty good, you know, because with me, it takes me a couple of listens to really appreciate an album. You know, I don't catch on to things very quick in albums. I need to listen to them multiple times before I really can say that I really enjoy it. So for like the whole album, I was like, yeah, okay, this sounds pretty good. But then whenever Tomorrow Never Knows started, I don't even like remember listening to it for the first time. All I know is that I listened to the first couple seconds, and then 3 minutes later, I was just laying in my bed, and I was like, I need to listen to that again. And I listened to it again, and I was like, damn. Because Tomorrow Never Knows is a masterpiece. It's really a great song. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this one. They panned it already. I need the sunglasses. I need to put the sunglasses on. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yep. Just like my first time listening to it, that was a lot. That was a lot to process. So yeah, my main note with the original mix was that everything was stagnant. Nothing really changed. They didn't do anything with the panning, but yeah, they remedied that times about 15,000. This was the one song that I was really looking forward to listening to because it was already great to begin with, but it could be 1,000 times better if they just kind of let it go a little bit crazier, and that's exactly what they did. Yeah, I am very satisfied with that. They I can't explain every single thing, but yeah, they definitely panned it, like the seagulls laughing bit at the beginning, they panned that from left to right. All the other stuff, the vocals, I think were centered most of the time. The drums started out here, the boom, 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 you know, and then it went to the left. That sounded exactly like I wanted it to. That was pristine perfection in my opinion. But we're still not done. We have 2 more songs to hit. I'm not going to explain why these songs are not on the album. Paperback Writer and Rain, the promotional single that was released alongside Revolver in 1966. Rain is my favorite Beatles song of all time, and Paperback Writer as well is a very great song. So with Paperback Writer, the bass in the original mix was in the right, drums and guitars were in the left, the vocals were centered, and it didn't sound too bad. With like all the crazy panning, it didn't sound awful. And we're going to listen to the 2022 stereo mix of Paperback Writer and Rain, starting with Paperback Writer. Paperback Writer. Love the way the bass sounds. It just sounds great. Paperback Writer. I really don't know what to say for that one. It sounded well laid out and full, like like all the other songs I listened to. Yeah, that one didn't really have too much jumping out at me. I noticed that the background vocals were they were panned in the right for the majority of the song, but then the outro they were panned to the left, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, other than that, we get to our grand finale, Rain. And like I said, Rain is probably my favorite Beatles song of all time. The original mix, drums were centered, the main vocal was in the left, the backing vocals were in the right, the guitars and bass were also in the right. So in terms of stuff going on, it was pretty well balanced. You know, there's, you know, vocals and instrumentation in the left, there's vocals and instrumentation in the right. I think it sounds pretty good. The original mix I have listened to for years and I've enjoyed it every single time that I've listened to it. So yeah, Rain is the first song ever to feature backwards vocals and the first song ever to rock as hard as it does, pretty much. And also, the drums and bass in this song are on fire. They're out of this world. So I'm looking forward to this one, you know. If Tomorrow Never Knows was like the one song I was looking forward to most, this is like the second one, because I love this song, so... Yeah, the new mix of Rain didn't really do much for me, but it still sounds great. You know, yeah, it was just all balanced out very well. So there you go, everyone. That was my reaction slash review type thing for the new 2022 remix of Revolver. Yeah, as I've said, I've been looking forward to this for a very, very long time, and I'm very glad that we got it so soon. And sorry if my insight wasn't exactly, you know, the greatest words in the world, because again, I'm not a music freak. I love listening to music, but I do not know a single thing about music theory or time signatures or any of that stuff. I don't even know what a middle eight is. I hope you guys just enjoyed this very casual listen through of the album Revolver. It's not just my favorite Beatles album, but I think it might be my favorite album of all time. So yeah, Revolver, it kicks ass. It always has, and it will continue to for the rest of time. As far as new videos, there will be a new video coming out next week that is also music related. I filmed it earlier this month. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but there's another very big music release happening that has to do with one of my other favorite bands, so, you know, that's happening pretty soon, so that video will release along with that the day that it releases. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed spending this time with me. I definitely enjoyed reacting to this album on camera, and I'm going to take the time now to stop recording and listen to the remaining 2 hours of the Super Deluxe Edition, because I am interested to see what else is in store here. So, again, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video.